Hi, welcome. In this video, I'm out here with Bailey, and I want to show the transition side of things when it comes to encountering a dog, interacting with a dog that's holding quite a bit of control. What you'll find is the dog will really begin to kind of reject even food and water for a period of time when you're starting to bring them into a different relationship, a different role. Because understand that this is talk about food possessiveness and dogs that are hitting that tipping point, and they're starting to gain a level of control. They're kind of like all in. It's like all or nothing. Either they want total control over whatever it is through the human, or they don't want anything to do with it. Okay, so here the transition to the process, and this is where you'll even see a dog start to, when they go into the crate, start to go right up into the very back part of the crate. But again, very interesting, as they become more agreeable the right way, they start to move more forward in the crate. They start to come out more agreeable, more accepting of coming into a follower role. So when you start to see this, understand that for some dogs that are holding a higher level of control, you'll see this type of kind of rejecting food, rejecting water. So this is where I'm going to show this here, because this is something Bailey's doing a little bit here during the process, because she is holding control. There's stress on her. She wants to connect through emotion. It's a big deal with her, but that isn't the path to fixing her. Okay, understand that you might get a dog to be agreeable to kind of bring them back online that way, but that's not the right way. Okay, and you're going to have issues. The relationship will never get fixed, so you have to transition through that. Okay, so it's all about getting the dog to perceive you the right way, just like parenting. It's like going into a different parenting style, and through that transition, the child not liking, okay, the new you. It's the same type of thing, that type of pushback, the type of challenge. So here, this is where there's some accommodation, because here's the thing: is I want Bailey, okay, to start to eat and make sure she's drinking enough water and all that. So there is a little bit of accommodation here. Okay, so because it's not just about me just saying, well, she'll eat when she gets hungry enough, and because understand that this could dogs can lose a little bit of weight here through this. So I want to encourage her to try to get her going the right way. Now this is where you can do some accommodation here and it not affect the process, because everything else is online. Okay, so this little bit of accommodation, or me hand feeding her a little bit, is okay. Okay, so because again, this is a big change for Bailey. This is a big transition for Bailey. So you have to provide accommodation. This is why when I'm doing the method, if a dog is at a real high tipping point, you have to have more patience. I'm going to stop and understand that the issue about agreeableness isn't about starting wanting a dog to win a high challenge. Okay, because you might be doing things that you feel are very reasonable with how you're interacting, but to a dog holding a lot of control, it's very unreasonable to them anyway. Okay, so there is accommodation here. So the accommodation part of this, you'll see me. So here I'm going to hand feed, but here when I'm doing this, it's not about getting too emotional either. Okay, this is just about permission, right? And so getting my hands in here a little bit, getting my scent on it. This kid, because I want her to come online. So here when I'm doing this, the same thing. I'll bring the dish over here a little bit. I'm gonna hand feed her. See, I'm gonna hand feed her. Good girl. I give a little bit of good girl. See, she's eating. Good girl. And then I'll start to lower down. So because I want her to, just to not just expect that I'm gonna hand feed her the whole time, but I'll lower my hand down in the dish here, right, to start to bring her towards the dish. So this is like another bridge building type of thing. But notice I'm not overly emotional about this. I'm just very relaxed and interacting with her in a way that's saying it's okay, because this is the other thing about I'm still on leash here with her. So, and see, there we go. See, starting a little bit. We're very relaxed here. I'm not making any sudden movements or anything like that. I'm just very accommodating with her. See, same thing. She's eating here. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. I want her to just be relaxed here. Her tail's wagging here a little bit. I want her to drink a little water. I'll bring the water dish up a little bit. Good girl. Good girl. That's great. See if she wants a little bit more food. Girl. See, now she's eating out of the dish, and I'm just hovering here. Don't have too much, influence through the call or anything like that. This is the way you want to do it. You want to get in the mix this way. This is, the thing is about getting in there through leadership. And so this is the thing about dogs that become very possessive of food. Need to get in the mix. But, understand as you're doing this, I have other videos on this type of process, and you'll see me doing it a little differently with some dogs, with how I'm turning into kind of a mini exercise. Especially when a dog is very possessive of food, and there's a possibility you could get bitten. All right, so you want to do it more in a very controlled way. Here, I don't have that fear whatsoever that Bailey's going to bite me. I just want her to eat her food, okay, at a good level. Okay, so this process will throw her off a little bit because that's what happens. But again, everything else maintains the level of integrity for through leadership, okay, making sure that I'm interacting with her the right way. So you can see here that transition. So going from hand, feeding, a little bit of praise, but the interesting, the same thing you'll see with the dog that is very driven to chase a ball, but become very possessive, and you feel like you're kind of like they see you as kind of like they're almost like their toy. But when you get in the mix and you start to interact a certain way, it'll throw them right off where suddenly they don't want to go after the ball anymore, because it's the same premise. It's all or nothing. I want you to total control of it, or I don't want anything to do with it. And you'll see that too, because they'll kind of drop the ball, and you can tell that they don't want you, coming near them a certain way. And they'll rip the ball to pieces, and then it's the same thing. Same as basically with this as well, the whole thing with that whole possessiveness, because the dog can look pretty good off leash as they're eating their food, and it's building up to a total catastrophe, okay? Because they'll become very possessive, and you won't have a clue until maybe someone gets bitten. So, because the only way to know is to be in the mix the way, through leadership, but through influence, right? Being in the mix like this. But again, when you're doing this type of thing, you want to get a kind of an assessment and not just jump in this way, because again, you don't want to get your hand down there and everything with the food if the dog's very possessive. You want to do it I showed it on a couple other videos where I'm doing it in a way that is more intentional and prevents anyone from getting bit. Okay, so here Bailey's doing great. Same thing. So this will transition into me not having to do it this way. But especially the first couple of days on a board and train will be very challenging. Dogs really will reject the food. And more so if they are holding a lot of control, okay, they'll reject the food at a very high level. But important, they need to at least be drinking water, okay? So very important. So if that's the case, I'll take the water in my hand and kind of dab it on their mouth and encourage them to start to, drink water, okay? So you always want to be aware of this. You want to kind of monitor the food and water situation, and here eventually, she'll just come right online here. So again, Bailey's doing great, but again, this is part of the transition. This is something you need to kind of spend